Brooke, I'm not ready to have a child yet, but I tell you, this little girl of yours makes me want to get ready and fast.
You hear that, sweetie? You're inspiring Auntie Karen.
She's such a little jewel.
I know. I look at her sometimes and I have to wonder what her future's going to be like. There are so many possibilities, aren't there? And it all starts right here with my influence. And Ridge's, of course.
This little girl is so lucky to have two really incredible parents. Can you imagine her telling her friends about who her mommy and daddy are?
Scary.
No, exciting. I mean, you know, most kids have parents with sort of ordinary jobs, you know, and maybe they were high school or college sweethearts, and then they got married, but not this one.
No, that's not going to be her story.
What is going to be her story?
I guess you don't know, do you?
About you and Ridge? No, I just know a few bits and pieces, really.
Well, it's like a fairy tale, Karen. A girl from a hard-working family that struggled to make ends meet every month. A girl with hopes and dreams, not much more. And a man who was like no other man. A man who lived in a home in Beverly Hills, California. A man whose world was so different from mine, it could have been in another galaxy.
Come on, tell me more.
Do you have all day?
How did you two meet? And how did you ever hook up with my sister?
Will you promise me something? That if anything ever happens to me, you'll tell my daughter the way it truly happened?
Of course I will.
Well, there was this girl from the valley who had all these crazy dreams. And something happened one day when she was reading the newspaper.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Coffee's fresh.
What are you doing?
Knitting?
Knitting.
Mm-hmm. For your daughter.
Where did you learn to knit?
See, there's just one of the other many talents you didn't know I had.
Certainly not.
Mm-hmm. Definitely not. Well, I did some thinking over the last 24 hours.
About knitting booties.
No, about children. Specifically, your daughter, whom I will henceforth refer to as my stepdaughter.
You will, huh?
Mm-hmm. She deserves the title, and I deserve the job.
Well, this is a change.
Yes, I'm ready for a change.
Something happened?
Yes?
You want to tell me what it is?
I was struck by a bolt of lightning.
Yeah? Where'd that come from?
The strangest place. Brooke Logan.
Well, now I've got to hear more about this.
I don't think you want to hear more.
You two go at it?
Ridge, you're my husband, not my referee. I can deal with Brooke. I mean, I better be able to learn to deal with her. We'll be raising a child together. Although between you and me, as time goes on, I'm pretty sure I'll be doing most of the raising.
Something happened while you were reading a newspaper?
In those days, Ridge's picture would be in the paper all the time. I'd wake up and I'd look for stories about him. I was so young, so naive, to think he would ever be interested in me.
The hottest fashion designer in LA. His son's a living, walking Adonis. The money, the glamour, the media coverage. A wedding that reads like something out of Camelot. Sure, who'd want to be a part of anything like this?
All right, so it's got its appeal.
Appeal? I'd kill to be a part of this story.
Dream on.
I became enchanted with this incredibly attractive man. This playboy who was finally going to take a wife. Caroline. But strangely enough, that wedding never happened. She collapsed at the altar. And that's when I went to see her in the hospital.
You went to see her?
That was my first real encounter with these people. Do you need anything else?
No. I'm so sorry for you.
Are you a nurse?
A nurse?
Or a nurse's aide?
I'm just a girl who's been reading about your wedding.
And that's when I saw Rich. Incredible. He was the most amazing man I had ever seen. Then one day, the company my mother worked for catered one of their parties. I went to help out. But really, I was there for only one reason. To meet Rich. And I did. I must have made an impression, because after that, my life became so unreal. I started dating Ridge. It was a life like nothing I'd ever experienced. Places I only dreamed about going. People I had fantasized meeting. And then one night, a night that is etched so clearly in my memory, he said those words.
There. You believe it now?
You really are losing me, Forrester. Your credibility is at an all-time low.
Look, it's getting late. I should leave.
What do you mean leave?
Leave, as in go home, where I know where I stand. Not someplace like here, where life is one big charade, but where people know how to express themselves with words like, Brooke, I love you. See you around, Forrester.
Hey, Logan.
What?
I love you.
What'd you say? I couldn't hear you.
I said, I love you.
You did say it. You really did say that. But did you mean it?
Will you come here?
One more time?
I love you. I do love you.
And he meant it. He really meant those words. Ridge loved me. And he still does. Ridge loves us, Bridget. He loves us.
You're wondering about what I just said?
I'm almost afraid to ask what you meant.
Can I ask you for an unbiased, unqualified opinion?
Sure.
What do you think about Brooke as a mother?
I think she's a good mother.
Rich, a good mother protects her children whenever there is a crisis, whatever that requires. I mean, if it requires taking a little time off from work, that's what she does. But I didn't see Brooke take one day off from work last year when her marriage was falling apart.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
Don't turn this into a witch hunt.
A witch hunt?
Brooke may have done a lot of crazy things, but when it comes to her kids, I think her judgment is pretty sound, if you ask me.
Honey, when it comes to raising a child, You have a dual responsibility as a caregiver and as a role model. I'm sure that Brooke cares about her kids. She loves them and hugs them and gives them what they need in that regard. As a role model, as someone that these children are going to grow up imitating and mimicking and patterning their life after, I really have to question her ability to handle this. I really don't know. Rich, what you have to think about is that Bridget is your daughter, and she's going to be your responsibility for the rest of her life. You can't just turn your back and hope that everything falls right into place. This baby girl is going to grow up to be a young lady. She'll be making choices and decisions. And those decisions will be based on the moral values that she was brought up with as a child. The question that you have to ask yourself is, are Brooke Logan's values the ones you want guiding your daughter for the rest of her life? Are they?
A true Cinderella story.
That's what it was. A girl from the other side of the tracks who captures a handsome prince's heart. But there was another. And he couldn't let her go.
Caroline.
He married her. And I had to give up my dream.
Did you?
And that's when it happened. Tragedy struck. It was a pain so deep. And a loss so cruel. It devastates to even think about it now. Caroline's death had such a profound effect on all of us. I didn't think Bridge would ever recover. He went into a shell where he stayed for months. Impenetrable. Not wanting to be touched. I went on to marry Eric. And that's when Taylor came into the picture. It's never been the same since. She questions my value as a person.
Taylor fears you, Brooke. You and Ridge have shared the most intimate experience that a man and a woman can. You've given him a child. Taylor is terrified of you.
Rich, if you don't agree with me,
I just don't want to say anything or do anything to discourage you from being involved in this child's life.
but you still question my opinion about Brooke's value system?
Well, can we agree to disagree?
Absolutely.
You know how comforting it is to have a wife like you taking care of my little kid?
Our little kid.
Yes, our little kid.
It's just that raising a child is so important that you don't want to leave it to somebody that you don't trust. I wish I could trust Brooke, but I don't. And the idea of leaving that little girl in her hands for the next 18 years, well, I have to be honest, you know, it really scares me. And I want to be there for her. I want to be there for her every year, every step of the way, every day of her life. With me, you, and her brothers and sisters.
Brothers and sisters.
That's right. Brothers and sisters.
you've really got this family thing all figured out.
It's just a matter of how large a family.
Well, do I have any input in this?
Of course you do. I couldn't do it without you.
Yeah? What am I gonna do with you, Doc?
I don't think I have to teach you that.
You know something? I really envy this daughter of mine.
I envy her too. Tell me that we'll have one of our own someday. A daughter.
I can't. Because there's a possibility that it might be a son.
You are a very cruel man.
Hey. Just trying to keep you on your toes, Doc.
Yes, I gave him a daughter. But is that enough?
You can't give a man a more perfect gift than that. Especially if he loves you.
He does.
Are you sure?
There are a few times in the last 5 years when I've questioned it. When Ridge married Caroline, and also when he went into a shell after her death. But you know, something always brought us back together. It's instinctive. A fire that never went out. But God knows we both tried to put it out. We married different people. I had a child. Just as a bird flies south for the winter because it has to, Ridge and I love each other because we have to. It's part of nature. Our nature. It's the way it is and the way it always will be. It took me a long time to realize that.
And when did you realize that?
Last New Year's Eve. In the cabin up in the mountains, when I gave birth to this beautiful little girl. You know, I could have died that night, and it would have been okay. Because I would have felt like I had lived the most perfectly fulfilling moment of my life. And there'll never be another one like it. The worst storm in years was raging outside. There was no doctor, no hospital. I was stranded, about to give birth to a child. With no one but a man who had never even seen a baby being born, much less delivered one. It could have been the most terrifying night of my life. Instead, it was the best. Ridge calmed me. We encouraged each other. The whole night was gilded in gold as I remember it. The labor progressed. And finally, the moment came that I will hold sacred in my heart for the rest of my life.
Oh. Here she is, Logan. It's a girl, Logan.
Our daughter, Ridge. The father of my baby. The man I love more than life itself. yet still I don't have him. Haven't I waited long enough, Karen?